All right, let's get started. Basically, what we're going to do is go over the custom post type UI plugin. I'm not going to go over loading a plugin. I'm guessing you've got that part nailed down. What it shows up is on the left-hand side, the CPT UI settings menu item, if you will. And then from here, you can just, let me make this a little bigger. You can just go through and add or edit your post type. So if I go into edit, you'll see that I have two pizza and pizzas 2. We'll go over the pizzas 2 one next time. But basically, I've created a slug and I've set some of these options down here. And we're going to go through all those here in a second. We're just going to create a new post type, and I'll show you how we do that. So adding a new post type, we're going to make this post type, let's see, we'll do something creative like hiking trails. I went for a great hike this weekend. Now, one thing you'll notice is I'm putting spaces in here, and the CPT UI plugin is automatically adding underscores for me. So basically, this is a slug. If you're not familiar with slugs, it is the URL for your page or your post or whatever it is that you're working on. So it'll create a slug for you, which is pretty handy as you type in spaces and capitals or whatever else. And then in here, I guess individually it would just be a hiking trail, but then plural, and this is where you're going to see stuff on the left-hand side of the navigation. You see I have my pizzas over here and all pizzas and add new. Those are all things that I'm setting up right now. So hiking trails and then hiking trail. And then I can add a new post type. Just need those three things to kind of get things kicked off. And then if I go into edit post types, I can go in and mess with my hiking trails, and that's when all these additional settings come in. So there's a whole bunch of labels that mostly pertain to this stuff over here. So like you see on my pizzas one, it just says add new, and the regular pizza just says add new. So you could change this to say add new hiking trail. Oh, and by the way, you can see our hiking trail showed up right here. So if I save that just as it is right now, let's see if that changes it over here on the left-hand side. So add new hiking trail. So you can play around with these labels all you want. I'm going to skip all but that one because I don't really want to deal with labels right now. So all we're really going to be concerned about is the settings down below that, so I can actually minimize this whole section. And then settings, as you can see, is still pretty significant. There's a bunch of options in there. There's only a couple that I'm really concerned about. And you can look all these up on their website. They do a really good job, as I mentioned before. They do a great job with support and documentation and all that kind of stuff. So, and most of these are defaulted to true. So yes, we do want it public because we want people to be able to see our fancy hiking trails post. And then the primary one that I always encourage people to mess with is the has archive. And we're going to get into this a little bit more when we get into the template hierarchy. But basically what this means is we can have a page, and I'll show you my pizza page in a second, just like a blog roll where it has all of your blog posts. And my pizza one is going to have a list of all my pizzas. It's the archive page of all of the posts of type blog and posts of type pizza. We can have a new one. So again, I'm not going to get into the template hierarchy, but basically you can create a template file called archive-pizza, as long as it matches the slug, so archive-hiking trail, and then it will show all of your hiking trails. So it will, this plugin will allow the creation or the presence of a template file that would contain all of them, and that's an archive page, and that's kind of, you'll get used to that terminology, but that's an archive page in WordPress, which is a page that lists all of the posts of type whatever it may be. So I always turn archive page to true. In 99% of the sites that I build, we do want an archive page. We do want a page that shows all of our posts of type whatever. So I click that one over to true. You can play around with the capability type. I've never done with that, but you can maybe change it to a page, or you can change it to a media item, whatever. So you can change the actual capability type of this custom post type that we're building. And then I don't think I mess with anything else. I mean, I do want it to show in the menu. You can move it around the menu, which is kind of cool. On that client that had all of those different post types, we did play with the menu position on that one because they did want things in a certain order, top to bottom. So if you were to change the menu position of this one to like 99, right here it's below pizzas 2. Let's see where it goes. Yeah, so now it's way down here under custom fields. So you can play around with where you want things to live. We'll just kind of, well, we'll leave it down there. Why not? And then showing the menu is a really handy thing. Basically, what happens if you go into your appearance menus, what you'll find is you'll see your hiking trails over here, and you can. Well, we don't have any hiking trails, of course, but if you look at the pizzas one, it shows your most pizzas, your most recent pizzas, and then one thing that's really cool is that all pizzas. Remember, I told you that has archive page. That's what that would be. So the all pizzas page would be the archive page of all of the posts of type pizza. So that's kind of how that piece works. But basically, we do, if you want it to show up in your main navigation, or in your footer navigation, or any menu item that WordPress has by default, you want to just click off that, show in menu items. And then I have played around with this a bit. I won't go back to that slide. Well, actually, I think I can. Yeah, I'll just show you really quickly. So on this is that slideshow we did earlier. You can see that announcements has a cute little microphone, and commentaries has a bunch of people, and events has tickets, and performance updates has a little graph, and these have little newspapers. So you can choose all of those items right from here. So you can go to the Dashicon website. I'll just show you where that is. You can do WordPress, Dashicons, and then you have a bunch of really slick, maybe not very slick, but they're kind of cool. All these little icons that you can use for a bunch of different things, of course, but certainly for that left-hand side navigation. So it's just as simple as putting in this name of the file, and you can also choose your own image icon if you wanted to. If I save it, you'll see hiking trails now as a palm tree. So it's cold today, so I kind of wish we had a palm tree nearby. So, all right. So I'm going to hide that again. So we have an archive page. It's a post type, which is default. We're not going to have parents and children for this post, so we're going to leave that alone. We've messed with the menu position, and we have an icon. Okay, so here's the other neat thing. So if I just open up my hiking trails, I forgot where it was here, and do add a new hiking trail. In general, what you'll see is what looks like a regular WordPress post. And you see there's not many of those extra fields in here. So if I come back over here and I choose, excerpt, track back, custom fields, I can do all these things and then save the post type. When I go back here to my hiking page, you'll see all those things show up. So basically what it's allowing us to do is choose all the different features and things that come by default with WordPress. It's allowing us to show all those things on this page. Most of you know this little trick up here of screen options, where you can actually shut all those things back off, which is super handy. You can see them disappearing down below there. So they're gone now. I guess I don't want to format either. So you can hide them that way. But I would just encourage you to come back in here, make sure we're still in hiking trails. I would encourage you to come back in here and and get rid of them here. It keeps things a lot simpler. I love revisions, by the way. We're going to do custom fields in a different way, so we're going to leave that alone. We are going to leave the excerpt because in some cases it's pretty handy. Featured image, title, editor, those are all pretty handy pieces there. So we're just going to have those items present, and then when we go back to our add new hiking trail, those things should all be gone. And you'll notice that they're not even up here and available now. So it actually eliminates them from you being able to hide them, which I think speeds things up a little bit. So I would be a little careful about what you include in here and make sure you just got in there what you need. All right, so the last thing is taxonomies, and we're going to talk about how the custom post types show up on the front of the site, but I want to just touch on this last thing really briefly. You can see that we can use the built-in taxonomy. So we could use the categories or the tags, which tell you right here they're with WP Core. And then pizza types is mine that I created previously. So the reason that we're creating a custom post type of hiking trails or pizzas is because we have a blog. If you remember from that first video, we have a blog about our travels. So we're going to Fort Collins or Boulder or Lincoln, New Hampshire, or wherever we're going. And the categories of that blog are going to be specific to travel. Now that I'm saying this, I think I used animals in my blog for the example. But that aside, the point being that there are categories that are specifically associated with the post of type blog. And now we have a pizza custom post type. So we're going to have categories that are specifically associated to the post of type pizza. And the same would be true of hiking trails. We don't want the same. If we go into pizzas, I'll just show you. Pizza types is what I called that taxonomy, and those are gross, New York style, pan, thin crust, and yummy. So those have nothing to do with hiking trails, although it's wintertime, so sometimes you do get a thin crust on the snow, but clearly different. And if I go to categories in the post, I'm pretty sure I did animals, so it's cats, cows, and dogs. Has nothing to do with hiking trails or pizza for that matter. So this is what a taxonomy is. It's a way to categorize things, which I hate using the word categorize because we have the WordPress core categories, but regardless. So if I go into add, edit taxonomies, and I go into edit taxonomies, you'll see that the only one in here is pizza types. It does the same thing for us with the underscores. And then it just asks you what you want the pizza type taxonomy, which of the posts do you want the pizza type taxonomy to be associated with? So we could, if we wanted to, include the pizza types in hiking trails or in posts or pages, whatever. That makes no sense whatsoever. So we're going to create a new one for our hiking trails and go from there. So this is going to be the oh, I can't do capitalization. This will be the trail type. And the plural label will be trail types, and then the singular is trail type. And we only want this one associated with a hiking trail, so we can add our taxonomy. So now it's in there. We go to edit. It's going to be at the bottom. There we go. So now we have our trail type, our names, and it's associated with hiking trail. So here is very similar to the custom post types is all of these labels again. So if we go to hiking trails, it's add a new hiking trail, which we knew, but then it's called trail types. And then if we go to the actual trail types, we obviously don't have any in there, but this is where you can change all those labels. So you can change all those labels if you want. We're going to skip that again and go back to settings. So here's our we you always want to make sure you're in the right spot and make sure that it's showing trail type. There we go. Cool. So then we don't want labels right now. So the settings, we do want it public. Now hierarchical, I always make true, and the only reason for that is, well, I'll just show you here in a second. If you leave it as false, I'll just open up hiking trails in a new area here. So if I create a new hiking trail, you'll see that my trail types are just separated with commas, and I prefer the checkboxes. So if you make this hierarchical, then you can have parent-child relationships in your categories, if you will. In our case, in the trail types. So maybe we have like a winter trail type, and then we list off the trail types for winter, and we have a summer, and then we have children, then we have children of the summer. So we could have 2 parents and a bunch of children in those trail type taxonomies that we're going to create. So I always make that one true. I'll just show you what it does. When I go to add a new hiking trail, oops. Now if I add a new trail type like winter, I've got a checkbox instead of that comma separated list. So I just like the way that lays out as far as the user experience. Okay, I'm gonna hide the labels again. So we have it, leave it hierarchical, and then literally everything else I leave as default. So again, this is not a deep dive into the custom post types UI plugin, but in general, I want to show you how you can create custom post types and then how you can create your own taxonomies. And then what we want to do, of course, is assign that taxonomy to this post type so that all the hike and trail types that we create are associated with the custom post type that we just built. So again, all these things I just leave alone. I just leave them as their defaults. And I think I've already saved, but I'll just save again. Okay, so now we have our add a new hiking trail. We have our hiking trail custom post type. And then if we can go into trail types, we can create our as many new trail types as we want because we have our own taxonomy. And if we go back to posts, the categories are still cats, cows, and dogs. If we go back to pizzas, it's still those. There's nothing to do with hiking trails in that. So we have our post types and we have our taxonomies. Next video, I want to show you how we go through and display these on the front side of the site and actually make it useful to our customers and our people who are visiting our site.